Aam Aadmi Party MP Sanjay Singh, who is accused in the Liquorgate scandal, was today produced before a Delhi court, which remanded him to 5 days ED custody. The Enforcement Directorate, in its application before the court, has made a detailed case for why they believe that Sanjay Singh was actually the conduit between accused turned approver, I should say, Dinesh Arora, and senior Aam Aadmi Party leaders in the Delhi government, including Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal. This is the ED's contention in its remand application. The Aam Aadmi Party and Sanjay Singh say that this is nothing but pure political vendetta by the Modi government. They say this is vindictive action with the express aim of trying to silence the opposition, particularly the India alliance. Now, irrespective of what happens to this case, how it's argued in court, and eventually what comes of it, the moot point is this: that there are grave allegations of corruption against a senior functionary of the Aam Aadmi Party, a public representative at that. And in this case, should the law take its own course? Should this case be decided on the merits of the evidence that the ED is able to provide and make a case beyond reasonable doubt that yes, Sanjay Singh was indeed the conduit and that he was a beneficiary of the amended liquor policy? Or is this case going to get drowned out in the surround sound of politics? Before we get to all of that, first, the day's story.
संजय जी कुछ कहेंगे अपने रेस्टिंग? संजय जी कुछ कहेंगे? संजय जी कुछ कहेंगे? है मोदी जी का, हारेंगे मोदी जी चुनाव हार रहे, इसलिए संजय जी आगे आरोप की बात
इतने केस लगा लिए, इतनी जांच कर ली, कुछ निकलता तो है नहीं। गलत ही केस बना रखा है इन लोगों ने हमारे ऊपर।
ये जो संजय सिंह है, ये कोई लाश नहीं है। और भी बड़े बड़े नाम हैं जो ये पूरी शराब की पॉलिसी में इन्वॉल्व थे।
All right, so the Enforcement Directorate in its remand application has made a detailed case against Sanjay Singh, and we've managed to access the remand note. Now, this is what the Enforcement Directorate says, that Sanjay Singh happens to be one of the key conspirators in the liquor scam. It goes on to say that he has known Dinesh Arora, who's one of the main accused, now turned approver, since 2017. He received proceeds of this crime, the change of policy, the change of liquor policy that happened when Manish Sisodia was the minister in charge in 2021. Sanjay Singh, the ED alleged today in its remand application, received 2 crores worth from the proceeds of this crime. 1 crore of this bribe money was paid by Sameer Mahindru, again one of the accused in the Liquorgate scandal. Mahindru paid bribes to Sanjay Singh at the behest of Vijay Nair. Vijay Nair was also an accused in this case. Received another 1 crore rupees from Abhishek Boinpalli. Abhishek Boinpalli is part of what the ED alleges is the southern cartel of the Liquorgate scandal, and he too paid 1 crore rupees. All of this money, the ED claims, went through Sanjay Singh back to the Aam Aadmi Party's coffers. There are call detail records which confirm Dinesh Arora's allegations. 1 crore was also picked up from the Indo Spirits office, which is of Sameer Mahindru's office in Okhla in South Delhi. This is what the ED has said in its remand application. Now, Sanjay Singh's defense to all of this is number one, and you heard what he said briefly as he was being escorted out of the court after the day's proceedings got concluded. He said that the sudden arrest in this case, remember the ED has been probing this for a number of months now. Manish Sisodia was arrested more than 6 months ago. Mr. Singh and his lawyers have claimed that the sudden arrest indicates that this is vendetta politics at play right after the formation of the India alliance and the successful meetings they've had, 3 meetings in the last 3 months. In his defense, Mr. Sanjay Singh has also said through his lawyers that not an iota of truth is there in the charges against him. He also went on to say that Dinesh Arora, who is an accused, now turned approver, was under pressure to frame Sanjay Singh. No summons was issued by the agency before the raids happened yesterday, and then he was summarily arrested thereafter. The ED is applying a different set of rules for him, that is Sanjay Singh, because he happens to be an opposition politician who is critical of Mr. Narendra Modi and his government. Now, irrespective of what happens to this case, like I said, whether it results in a conviction or whether it gets drowned out in politics, I want to bring you up to speed with some data points. And this is important because the Enforcement Directorate has become the agency of choice, if you will, for these anti-corruption crackdown, particularly by the Modi government. I want to put to test the Enforcement Directorate's record from 2014 to 2022. Out of the total number of cases that have been filed, the number of politicians who have been either booked or raided or interrogated is 121. Now, out of this 121, the opposition politicians are 115, which means 95% of the politicians who've been raided or booked or questioned by the Enforcement Directorate in the last 9 years happen to be from various opposition parties. 5% of them happen to be from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, we put to test the number of cases that the Enforcement Directorate has successfully disposed of, either in a conviction or in an acquittal of the accused, from 2005 to 2023. That's the last almost 20 years, and this is across two dispensations, UPA 1 and 2 and now NDA 1 and 2. Out of the 5,096 cases that the Enforcement Directorate has probed, some of them under PMLA, some of them others, only 25 cases have been disposed of. Now, the ED claims that out of those 25 cases, it has resulted in conviction in 24 out of those 25 cases. But the proportion of cases, that is 25 out of 5,096, would work out to be less than 1% of the cases in the last 20 years the ED has managed to successfully dispose of. Now, searches that have been conducted, in the last 9-year period, there have been 2,974 searches. Again, that's a threefold jump from what was happening when the UPA was in power. Prosecution complaints, and this is again interesting because these are complaints that are filed at the behest of an agency. It could be the police, local police in some cases. It could be agencies like the CBI or ED itself in this case. 839 of these cases have originated from prosecution complaints, not from victims of this financial fraud. There is a clear distinction here. If you're a victim of a financial fraud and you file a police complaint, that is a police complaint which then results in an FIR. A prosecution complaint is when the agency itself registers a complaint without a victim of that crime, alleged crime, coming forth. Now, let's open this up to our guests who are joining us. This, of course, is a big political story between not just the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP. Of course, there were protests and counter-protests today, but this has become a sort of rallying point for both the BJP as well as the India Alliance parties. The BJP saying these are legitimate probes, these are corrupt politicians from the opposition who need to be held to account. The India Alliance saying this is yet another instance of silencing of the opposition. Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, Shubh Malhotra is spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, A. Saravanan, spokesperson of the DMK, and R. Rajagopalan, senior journalist, now joining us. Sanju Verma, the contention that's been made by Mr. Sanjay Singh through his lawyers, the Aam Aadmi Party, you've heard from Arvind Kejriwal and others, is there is simply no case against him. This was an early morning raid. He was not summoned before that. There was no questioning before that. And in the very first raid, at the end of the day one of the first raid, they've already decided to arrest him. And this is simply because of political vendetta. Please respond.
Thank you. Zaka, first I have to hand it to you. That was a brilliant introduction which put things in perspective. You know, let me just remind your audience that way back in July 2022, and then as recently as April 2023, in July, the Supreme Court, led by Justice Khandilkar, heard 241 petitions, primarily from the opposition, which said that mass arrests of opposition leaders by the Modi government is a sign of authoritarianism. And then in April 2023, barely a few months back, Abhishek Singhvi was representing 14 political parties from the opposition camp, and his argument was the same, that opposition leaders are being victimized by way of probe agencies only focusing on them thanks to the Modi government's witch hunt. And Abhishek Manu Singhvi had egg all over his face. He had to withdraw his petition after no less than the CJI, Justice Chandrachud, told him after he rattled out some data as to why only opposition leaders are being targeted. And Justice Chandrachud asked him, are you saying on the back of the data that you have presented that corrupt politicians should be given immunity? Are you saying that politicians should be treated differently? Please do not come to us with generic cases. If you have a specific case, come to us. Abhishek Manu Singhvi withdrew his petition. This is to tell you that in the highest court of law of the land, the opposition has had to cut a sorry figure in July 2022 and then again in April 2023. But more importantly, as far as Sanjay Singh goes, he needs to be educated on something. This case is still sub judice because the Supreme Court is still hearing about the so-called vendetta by the Enforcement Directorate. In the last hearing, the Supreme Court upheld the validity of Section 3, which defines money laundering. It upheld the validity of Section 5 of the PMLA Act of 2002 pertaining to attachment of property, and most importantly, it actually upheld Section 17, 18, 19, which pertain to suo motu, search, seizure and arrest of the concerned person, and the most important section of the PMLA is Section 24, which pertains to reverse burden of proof. In the IPC, you are proven, you are considered innocent until proven guilty. But when it comes to a money laundering case, Zaka, you are held guilty until proven innocent. Due to the reverse burden of proof, the Enforcement Directorate has the suo motu right under the PMLA Act of not only 2002 but the revised PMLA Act of 2005 to arrest somebody.
Let me ask Shubh Malhotra of the Aam Aadmi Party. This is what the ED has said in its remand application today, that Mr. Sanjay Singh was one of the key conspirators in the liquor scam. He was associated with Dinesh Arora since 2017. In fact, there are letters written by Sanjay Singh to Dinesh Arora and vice versa from the last 2 or 3 years, where it's clear that they have known each other. There are pictures of them together with Mr. Sisodia, with Mr. Kejriwal. So the point or the line of defense taken today by Mr. Sanjay Singh's lawyers in court, that they have no acquaintance or they have no relationship, no friendship between Mr. Arora and Mr. Sanjay Singh, simply doesn't cut ice, because Dinesh Arora in his 164 CRPC statement to the court has said that it was Mr. Sanjay Singh who he met with at one of the South Delhi restaurants, who requested money from the owners, and checks amounting to 82 lakh rupees Dinesh Arora procured for Sanjay Singh. This is what he has said before a judge under 164 CRPC. So how can you say that Sanjay Singh has nothing to do with Dinesh Arora?
See, Mr. Arora, the person in question over here, this is not his first statement. So back when ED started with investigation in this so-called liquor scam, which I feel is completely imaginary due to some facts which I will come to later. He had earlier, when the charge sheet was filed, there was no mention, his statement was given, there was no mention of Sanjay Singh. But 2 days back, as soon as he turned approver, now we know in court, whenever there is no evidence, that is when the accused turns into approver. So it is quite clear over here what is happening in this case. And I think that has been outlined by the courts also today, when they said that all this is fine. So everything that has been said till now is fine. But where is the proof? Where are the proceeds of the crime? For Manish Sisodia, they said that where is the money exchange? Where is the money trail? Now, mind you, ED, CBI, they work using the taxpayers' money, right? And now you just outlined how 95% of the cases are against opposition, how the conviction rate is under 1%, and how the taxpayers' money of the country is being utterly sheerly wasted.
But ma'am, you are not answering the question that I asked you. What is the defense for Sanjay Singh? Mr. Arora has said that Sanjay Singh received proceeds of the crime worth 2 crore rupees. 1 crore from Samir Mahindru. Mahindru paid the bribe at the behest of Vijay Nair, and another 1 crore from Abhishek Boinpalli. Both Samir Mahindru and Abhishek Boinpalli are accused. They are in jail in this case. And Mr. Arora, again an accused and in jail turned approver now, is saying that 1 crore each was paid by both of these gentlemen to Mr. Sanjay Singh. What is your response to that?
They're false. So we can sit over here and we can discuss, what exactly is the correct thing and the wrong thing, but none of us are privy to any of the information except for this piece of information, that is the accusation. Let me just be very clear, these are accusations. So when we say innocent until proven guilty, let's not, violate that tenet by, calling it that, what is your defense? So that means you are guilty. Isn't this the wrong perspective? And it is not.
But if there's a charge and a very serious charge against one of your senior most leaders, what is your defense to that charge?
It has not happened. Let them prove that it has happened. Just like a few months back, when ED wrote Sanjay Singh's name in the charge sheet, and when Sanjay Singh did case against them, that how can you mention my name without any evidence? And they said that, oh, we are sorry. It was a mistake on our part. It was a misspelling.
Okay. So, Sanju Verma, quick response. Saravanan and Mr. Rajagopalan are waiting very patiently. Yeah. So, quick rebuttal.
Yes.
Yeah.
My quick rebuttal is this, Zaka, that, accused number 9, Amit Arora, accused number 11, Dinesh Arora, who's also turned an approver, wide section 306 of the CRPC, and accused number 13, Sunny Marwa. The reason I've named Amit Arora and Sunny Marwa, accused number 9 and 13 is, if you recall, in September 2022, there were 2 separate sting operations done. And in both these sting operations, Sanjay Singh, Manish Sisodia, and a whole lot of top brass leaders of Aam Aadmi Party were, supposedly engaging in a quid pro quo leading to bribes in favor of giving licenses to the liquor cartel. Point that is most important is that Dinesh Arora, and this is mentioned in the ED's additional supplementary charge sheets, Dinesh Arora has said that he helped Amit Arora, accused number 9, to meet up with Sanjay Singh's personal assistant, a man called Ajit Tyagi, and Sanjay Singh's confidant and a close associate called Vivek Tyagi, and the money to Sanjay Singh was routed by Samir Mahindra of Indospirit via Ajit Tyagi, Sanjay Singh's PA, and via Vivek Tyagi, Sanjay Singh's close associate. So the entire story is out in the public domain.
Let me ask Saravanan. Saravanan, let's take the big picture here. This case has been going on for the better part of the last year now. And Manish Sisodia, no less, who is the Deputy Chief Minister, has been arrested. He's in jail now. And in multiple courts of law, he has approached for bail. In fact, the last judgment of the court while rejecting his bail, order of the court while rejecting his bail, and I'm going to read from it. The role of third parties in finalizing the policy, the liquor policy that is, raises red flags. Witnesses show the role of outsiders in drafting the policy. Evidence indicates that the policy was framed in an opaque manner. Mr. Sisodia is unable to pass the triple test for bail under PMLA. This is what the court said while rejecting the bail application. So if these are such grave and serious charges, then why shouldn't the law proceed against Sanjay Singh or anyone else accused in this case for that matter?
Yeah, Zaka, why have you not quoted what the Supreme Court said today? It said the evidence against Mr. Manish Sisodia will not stand for 2 minutes scrutiny. And I'll tell you as a lawyer, the evidence of an approver is the weakest piece of evidence. Based on that, no conviction could be based upon. This is what they teach us in law schools. This is the basic thing. And now the BJP goes to town, tom-tomming about the approver's evidence. And how do they get this? We are seeing one court, the Enforcement Directorate or the other authorities refusing to give the FIR in an UAPA case. And now we are discussing all the intimate details. Is this not a media trial? Is this not what the Supreme Court frowned upon? If, and you clearly pointed out in your data, 95% of the cases, this is Gestapo, India's version of Gestapo. Income Tax Department, the ED and the CBI are nothing less than Gestapo in India. And why are they doing this? They are doing this because the Modi government is afraid of the India alliance.
Oh my God.
If you are guilty, you will go join the BJP.
Absolutely.
If you are innocent, you are picked up by the ED. Sanjay Rawat an MP of the Shiv Sena was picked up, the trial court ensured that the bail was immediately granted. And what ground, what audacity did you have to arrest him? Was he given compensation? What is the response of the BJP? And Mr. Ajit Pawar, what was the allegation? 70,000 crores. And what happened to the ED case? Vanished out of thin air. Praful Patel,
I want to answer that.
5,000 crores of property was attached.
Okay.
What happened to him? The Enforcement Directorate dare arrest Mr. Praful Patel.
Jaka, can I
Yeah.
come in?
Yeah.
Because they are all singing
Okay.
praise to Mr.
Okay, let me go to Rajagopalan. He's been waiting very patiently. Mr. Rajagopalan, I showed this data point earlier on in the program as well, and both Shubh Malhotra and Saravanan have latched onto it. And this is a fact. This is also an Indian Express report which came out a few months ago. I'm quoting from that. 121 prominent politicians have been under the ED probe. They've either been booked or raided or interrogated or arrested. Out of that 121, 115 happen to be from opposition parties. That is 95% of these politicians in PMLA cases in the last 9 years have been from opposition parties. When the India Alliance and other opposition parties of the India Alliance say, Mr. Rajagopalan, that the ED, CBI, IT, etc. are being used as instruments to harass them, this statistic kind of proves their point. What is the counter to that?
My understanding of this, Jaka, is that the opposition leaders are knee deep into corruption. That is why from the Red Fort, Prime Minister said that Enforcement Directorate piche jayega, chodega nahi hai. So therefore, my understanding again is that Prime Minister who has got 303 MPs, he is well within his right, and the Enforcement Directorate is well within his rights to expose the corrupt opposition, because most of the political parties, including in the Alliance, are corrupt. The reason being, Prime Minister has been in message said that he will unleash ED to expose the opposition, nepotism, corruption, corrupt practices. So therefore, Prime Minister is within rights. My understanding of this Sanjay Singh case is this needle of suspicion goes to the top leaders. Even today, courts are not giving bail to Mr. Sisodia. Net is closing in on AAP. Supreme Court also said, why can't the party be made, Aam Aadmi Party be made as accused? Then the Aam Aadmi Party will lose the broomstick, the election symbol also. Age reduction, zonal allocation, these are all certain things. Policy matters. How can they go outside this? When the policy matter is that it should be government prerogative. How can Tyagi and Sanjay Singh discuss about this and get 2 crore, 3 crore rupees? That is why the bribe has taken place. That is a white-collar crime.
Okay.
Zaka, see, we are talking about the policy decisions. When we say that somebody has influenced a policy decision, I think the BJP is the party which has to be probed. What is the money they have raked in through electoral bonds? 3,600 crores. As any other party come near to that? Nothing at all. So what is this?
Okay. One at a time, please. One at a time. Saravanan, 10 seconds. Wrap up 10 seconds, Saravanan, and then I will go to Sanju Verma after that. Yeah.
Yes. So the electoral bonds is the biggest scam the BJP is perpetrating. Again, one more aspect is this. The BJP says, oh, look at the Supreme Court judgment. It is very, very farcical that the BJP is quoting Supreme Court judgments and the sanctity of the Supreme Court judgments. When the Supreme Court said a CEC should be a chief judge, the panel should consist of the Supreme Court judge, chief judge, they said they'll not follow that.
Anyway, that's not material. That's not material to today's debate. We'll debate that. We've debated that in the past. Let's not divert. But Sanju Verma, once again, I'm going back to the data that I showed. The data that I showed at the beginning of the program. Since 2005, across 2 different administrations, first when UPA was in power and now when NDA is in power, 5,906 cases the ED has filed. Only 25 of those cases have been disposed of. Shouldn't that be a matter of concern, that if the ED is really at the vanguard of taking on corrupt politicians and weeding out corruption from our polity, then surely they should have a better record than this, 25 out of 5,906.
You know, Zaka, with no offense to you, I also want to point out what the Enforcement Directorate has said with respect to the low conviction rate. They've said that while overall conviction rate may have been low, the conviction rate of the Enforcement Directorate, particularly with respect to money laundering cases filed under the PMLA Act, there the conviction rate of the Enforcement Directorate is a stupendous 96%, which is far higher than the IPC conviction rate of 56%. And don't forget that if you talk about the Enforcement Directorate's conviction rate, we should also talk about the CBI and the NIA's conviction rate, because many cases are jointly probed by all the three probe agencies, and the NIA and CBI's conviction rates are close to 94%. Now, the second point that I want to make, DMK said, approvers' words do not hold ground in a court of law. I mean, I don't know from where the DMK panelist has studied his law, but I would urge him to go and study the Indian Evidence Act of 1872, which has been subsequently amended a couple of times. And under the Indian Evidence Act, what an approver says, wide section 306 of the CRPC, is completely valid in a court of law. And don't forget that today ASG Raju also mentioned that there are WhatsApp chats between excise officials and Manish Sisodia, between Manish Sisodia and the others and the liquor mafia, and electronic proof is also, something that is completely valid in a court of law. Point number 3 that I want to stress upon is when Sukhpal Singh Khera was arrested a couple of days back. He's a congressman. What did the Aam Aadmi Party tell us? Why is the Congress worried about Mr. Khera being arrested? Law is taking its course. Kanun apna kaam kar rahi hai. When the ex-finance minister of Punjab, who then joined BJP, was hounded by the Aam Aadmi Party with, the courts in Bhatinda hounding him and the police from Bhatinda hounding him, BJP did not raise a squeak. But what did the Aam Aadmi Party say? अरे मनप्रीत बादल को तो हमने इसलिए अरेस्ट किया है बिकॉज ये कानूनी प्रक्रिया थी, ये तो न्यायपालिका अपना काम कर रही है. मतलब आप अरेस्ट करो तो कानूनी प्रक्रिया है, पर बीजेपी अरेस्ट करे तो इट इज पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ वेंडेटा.
So let Shubh Malhotra respond to it. Both those questions. I asked this to one of your colleagues yesterday also. You arrested Mr. Khera just last week. At that time, it was the law taking its own course. O.P. Soni, former Deputy Chief Minister, was also arrested. I think there are at least half a dozen former Congress ministers in the previous government who've been arrested by Mr. Bhagwant Man's government. But also, the charge that's been laid out as far as Mr. Sanjay Singh is concerned, and there are pictures to back this claim, pictures of Sanjay Singh with Dinesh Arora and the Chief Minister, Sanjay Singh with Manish Sisodia and Dinesh Arora. I mean, are we to believe that there's no connection between these individuals at all?
Okay, so the first part of the question, let me tell you, these are not new cases by Aam Aadmi Party. They were there they were filed at the time of BJP government, charge sheeted at the time of Congress government. So, these are not new cases. The second part of your question is with respect to, can you repeat, you mentioned?
The second part I said is Mr. Dinesh Arora, okay, if you don't want to take his approver statement on a verbatim, fair enough, you don't take that approver statement. What explains, what explains the multiple pictures of the Chief Minister, Sanjay Singh and Dinesh Arora, multiple pictures of Mr. Sisodia, Dinesh Arora and Sanjay Singh. Sanjay Singh has written letters to Dinesh Arora praising him for doing good work during COVID. Mr. Dinesh Arora has written letters to Sisodia and to Mr. Sanjay Singh praising them for increasing the alcohol serving time and the restaurant opening time in Delhi restaurants till 3 a.m. And now the line that's been taken, the defense line that's been taken in court is, we don't have any acquaintance. Come on, who are you fooling?
So does this prove that they are guilty? I mean, at the end of the day, we are talking about that Sanjay Singh is corrupt. We are talking about that Manish Sisodia is corrupt. When the court itself is saying, despite all this enormous bit of evidence that you are talking about and the spokesperson from the other party is talking about, the court is saying that there is no money trail you are being able to establish. Your case is going to fall flat in 2 minutes. So, just try to focus on what is happening over here for a bit. 500 officials of ED have been investigating this case for over 15 months. Thousands of raids have happened. Not a single rupee money trail has been found. Nothing has been achieved. Only the taxpayers' money has been wasted. And I feel sorry for the ED, unfortunately, because now that the Akalis have fled, now Shiv Sena has fled, now JDU, so they've given them the best treatment
This
in
woman
Bihar.
is insane.
All of that. Let me complete.
Okay,
The laughter-
quickly, 10 seconds.
The
Yeah.
laughter is yours. The laughter is yours.
Yeah. One second, ma'am. One second. One second.
Now,
One second. Sarunan, one second.
alliance partners.
One second.
Now they are left with
Let her
only
finish.
2 alliance partners.
You have one
Now
seat
they
in
are
the
left with
Lok
only 2
Sabha.
alliance
You have
partners.
one seat in the Lok Sabha. Shut up.
Okay.
Now
You have one seat in the
Okay,
Lok Sabha.
now I'm going to move on. Rajagopalan wants
You
to
have
speak and then
one
Sarunan
seat in
also.
the Lok Sabha.
One second, one at a time, please. One at a time, please. One at a time. Only Rajagopalan on screen. Mr. Rajagopalan, again I come back to the point, not the legal point, but the political point. Earlier you said when I asked that India Alliance is saying that this is, vendetta because the majority of the politicians who've been raided, booked, arrested, etc. are opposition politicians. You said that opposition politicians are all corrupt. Is it your contention that nobody in the BJP is corrupt?
There are corrupt BJP leaders, I do agree. But at the same time, can you imagine, Jaka, the amount of loot this opposition did? That is why Mr. Narendra Modi is exposing each and every loot. That is why Prime Minister said from the Red Fort that he will go after each and every one. And moreover, he has extended this. My understanding of the Sanjay Singh case is, after reading the remand note, the needle of suspicion goes to the top. And moreover, Aam Aadmi Party is in existential crisis because all of them are in jail.
Okay. Final word, Sarunan, I've got to wrap up. But the point is, Sarunan, this was a major issue that the public rallied on and voted the UPA 2 out of power in 2014. It continues to have major resonance even now, that corruption is not something that is okay with the general public. And look at it, eventually these cases may or may not result in a conviction. But what Mr. Rajagopalan said is right. Manish Sisodia in jail, Satyendra Jain in jail, Sanjay Singh in jail, the person who was doing media coordination for the Aam Aadmi Party in jail. Point is that the people are going to look at all of this and say that if all of these guys are in jail, then something might be fishy here, right?
No, that is, you have hit the nail on the head, Zaka. The BJP exactly wants to do that. By putting everybody in jail, they want to create a picture as though something is wrong. But people are sick and tired. They want governance. They want the petrol fuel prices to come down. Not this tamasha of arresting everybody and putting them in jail and going the Supreme Court commenting on the conduct of the ED. When was the last time the Supreme Court conducted? It was in 2008. It said CBI is against marriage. Now it said the ED is
one at a time, please. One at a time. Let Sarunan finish.
One more thing, Zaka. Just a moment, Zaka. See, in the Enforcement Directorate, went to the house of one Jyoti Kumar in the state of Tamil Nadu, who was working in Kamalalayam. Who accompanied him? All the office bearers of the BJP accompanied the Enforcement Directorate. When was the last time ED allowed third persons to enter when a raid is going on? And what happened to the Mr. Jyoti Kumar? Probably the ED received some phone calls and they left the raid and went away.
Sanju Verma, final word.
The BJP,
Many an opposition politician is in jail. Supreme Court is saying not very charitable things about ED and its investigation. Ultimately, the onus is on the investigating agency to prove that yes, there was exchange of money, there were proceeds of crime, and these accused persons were beneficiaries from those proceeds of crime.
You know, Zaka, I will just say this. You know, Hindi में कहावत है चोर चोर मोसेरे भाई. चोर चोरी से जाए पर हेरा फेरी से न जाए. And each time you question the BJP, don't forget, be it Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi in the National Herald case, they have not been given a clean chit. You know, the case is still sub judice. Be it P. Chidambaram in the INX media case, he's still facing trial. Be it Senthil Balaji of the DMK or Pon Modi of the DMK, they have not been given a clean chit by the courts. They are still facing trial. And as far as the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, Manish Sisodia, Sanjay Singh, Satyendra Jain, Somnath Bharti, who's been in and out of prison and is the number 2 in the Delhi Jal Board. Don't forget Tahir Hussain, who's in and out of prison. I mean, look at the entire opposition.
Okay.
You know, they are a tainted bunch. अपना घर ठीक करो, फिर बाद में बीजेपी
I have
को
to
भाषण
wrap
देना।
up. I have to wrap up. Thank you very much to all our guests. Let's see. Look, like I said, look, ultimately this case has to be proven or otherwise in a court of law. But I'm afraid before that can happen, it will get made or marred in the People's Court in the run-up to the Lok Sabha election of 2024. Meanwhile,